folk. I'm your host, Emelina Calder. In today's video, I'm going to take you guys through kind of what causes, and what are the underlying energies behind depression. So, what causes, a spiritual depression, how to acknowledge it, how to break through, how to know what to do about it. And all of that being said, I want to remind you guys, take what you love, leave the rest. I am speaking from my channel, from the Law of One, Divine Mother and Divine Father, as well as my personal experience, which might not resonate with your experience, and that is 1,000,000,000% okay. Just keep in mind that that might be the case. What else do I want to say? I am speaking from my experience. That might not be for everyone, but I am, of course, working in the highest service for the highest good for those that this message is meant for. And this is absolutely not a replacement for any level of medical attention or medical therapy. So I am a channel. I'm going to speak about this from a spiritual perspective. And that is not to deny any level of physical, practical, chemical needs, emotional needs, therapeutic needs. So I want to state that very, very clearly as a boundary that I'm speaking to the spiritual plane. Anything, if this topic is of interest to you, if you have experience with depression, anything that you've done, anything that you feel guided to do for yourself is going to be the way for you. I'm just going to supply my experience and my channel around the topic to serve in the highest way that I can. So take what you love, leave the rest. That's what I got there. If you are new to my world, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. My name is Emelina Calder. Remember to like the video. I love hearing from you guys in the comments as well. If you have questions, thoughts, curiosities, I'm all about all of that. Drop a comment down below. I am a cosmic shaman, an Akashic Records reader, a high performance life coach, a personal branding coach from the position of spirituality. I help people connect to their authentic soul expression. I just have through all of my work, I have a very innate understanding of the soul, how the soul expresses itself and how it's contained into the human experience, how to tap into and channel your own soul through your human experience so that you don't feel that there's a separation between your spiritual self and your human self. I think that's me in a nutshell. Is there anything else I want to say there? I think it's pretty good. Most of the things that I do are through the Akashic Records. It's how I do the majority of my work because it's how I think. You can kind of think about me. This is going to be kind of funny, but I'm kind of like a cosmic lawyer. So I very much work with the laws of the multiverse and the different governing bodies. And it's even funny. I don't know why I'm going into this, but I feel like I need to. It's even funny when you're approaching different governing bodies at the universal level, you have to have a certain amount of clout and spiritual prowess, proof in the pudding of your karmic, what would I call it? Karmic accumulation. So it's not just you proving it in this life. When I talk to some of these larger governing bodies as a medium, I have to and I don't have to do it. They just scan my background. Kind of the way you would walk into a court system and then they're patting you down and making sure you're not a criminal or whatever. It's kind of the same thing cosmically. Where they scan your karmic history throughout all of your lifetimes to see where the majority of your judgments fall. Are you mainly good? Are you mainly conflicted? What service do you do across the universe and stuff like that? So anyway, I don't know why I'm saying all of that, but that came up in the channel. I am going to, as per usual on these live streams, I'm going to Stream of Conscious Speak, which is my channel. I'm not going to deny things that are coming through, even though they might not mentally make sense from a logical linear perspective. There are frequencies that are interwoven from source consciousness in the energy that I present that kind of, it's nested in they're showing me a column of light. Whenever I speak, it kind of takes all of the energetic coding and awareness at the multidimensional level, brings it into a column with the human experience, because I'm speaking as a human through my experience. And then that is offered as a transmission. For those of you that don't know, a transmission is a container of energetic and spiritual information that you energetically assimilate to and digest. and it kind of works its way into your DNA, where then you are given like access to new insights and awareness and understandings, as if you were to experience a higher dimensional reality, if that makes sense. I might break that down in another video. But with all of that being said, I am going to jump in. I also do want to mention, because this actually is going to be important for this video as well, I do have a free guided meditation that you can access in the description link below that will help you strengthen your own source connection, which is going to be very, very important for anyone that is dealing with any level of depression, which I'll get into some of the symptoms spiritually around depression, but a lot of it has to do with the lack of a strength of like a really, really strong source connection. It's almost like having shoddy, oh my gosh, shoddy phone service. That's the way they're showing it to me, is like, that can cause a depression. Whereas when you have a really strong source connection, you have a really strong connection, a strong phone line to God, you're given the strength. Whatever strength you don't have within your personal will is given to you through God's will, through source, energetically. You know, in the Kundalini yoga communities, what do they say? They're like, keep up and you'll be kept up. That's kind of the same thing too. Like, God will keep you up. God will keep your energy vibrant. I'll jump into this more. Anyway, you can get that in the description link below. And I'm going to jump right in, again, kind of stream of conscious, and I'm just going to tackle this topic, which, you know, I gotta be honest, I was a little hesitant about, because it came up in a stream a couple weeks ago, and I ran it by a couple therapists that are friends of mine. I ran it by a couple of other mediums, and I just came to the conclusion that I think that my spiritual perspective needs to be added to the conversation. In no way will I claim myself as any level of an expert in this topic, but I will offer what I can. And there is a reason why I'm giving so many boundaries to this container, because that's what allows me to feel safe speaking about it. Cosmic legal talk done. Okay. Oh my gosh. Where do I want to start? Okay, I'm going to start by diffusing some of the ideas of depression, because that's where I'm being led right now. The more you guys get to know me and my perspective and my experience and how I do things, you'll notice that I don't deny anything. I accept everything. I work on personal self-acceptance over advertent change, because if you try to change a part of yourself from the place of denying a part of yourself, it's just, nothing should be denied. Every aspect of you should be honored, should be loved, should be accepted, and should be validated. And hold the thoughts peanut gallery, okay? The way that I'm going to speak are in certain levels of polarity. I am taking a stance on certain aspects of this conversation so that I can have a conversation. All right? I'm saying this because so many things get taken out of context online, and I don't ever want any one thing I say to be you would have to look at my complete body of work. But with that being said, I do want to say that depression is a natural part of a human experience. Okay, it is very, very natural for us to have an ebb and flow of emotion. It is natural to have a tide in and a tide out, just like how the moon affects the ocean. We wouldn't look at the ocean and say, you have a low tide, like, screw you, ocean, there's something wrong with you. Maybe you should do some emotional work so that you can have a high tide all the fucking time. Okay, like that. My point here, I want to diffuse some of the shame and the personal guilt and the self-harm through self-negativity around the idea of depression. Everyone that I have ever met that has had any issues with depression is in such a level of self-shame that I just don't find it beneficial. I can feel this in my heart so strongly. I just don't find it beneficial to tell them or to feel them or to put this energy out there that there is something wrong with you and you need to fix it so you can feel better. Now, I want to call there, obviously, again, I'm taking polarities for a reason, but I want to call out a number of things here. Very frequently, people around those that have some level of depression, whether or not it's clinical or if it's just a passing state, will frequently try to change or shift those people because they don't want to feel the depth of lower vibrational experience within themselves. I hope this is making sense. So what will happen, unbeknownst to everyone involved, God bless every component of this, but it happens, is that if you have somebody that's highly codependent, that is not acclimated with their shadow, and there's someone that has a level of depression, and I almost said, catch this, right? I almost said suffers from depression, and I even caught myself and said, but that's not what it is experiencing depression. Because even the, and I'm not saying there isn't a level of suffering, but even the idea that you could suffer from something is like it's an incurable disease. These things are not, it's not true. Again, don't take that out of context. I'm not a medical practitioner professional, but from the spiritual perspective, it is an experience that is tried on like an outfit. That experience might have a more clinical nature. It might be an ongoing emotional experience. There might be a lack of, I don't know all the specific terms, but like a lack of dopamine receptors, etc., that could cause that, which I know that there are chemical ways to balance that out. But regardless, I choose to take the stance of acceptance because I just find it more supportive of the human experience to say in my energy and to share this way of seeing and being, I accept you because, and I'm talking from my perspective because I don't know how else to nail this down spiritually to explain it. If there was someone in front of me and I were to be like, I don't accept you, I need you to change in order for me to like you or feel comfortable around you, that the problem is no longer the person with depression, the problem is now me. Like, okay? Like, so those of you that feel this way, and you might not feel this way consciously, this might be a subconscious process, just remember that whatever you are feeling is your responsibility. Nobody has any like negative effect on you. Now, if you are, let me think about this. I'm gonna bless myself up right now too, because I feel like I'm like running my parallel processor. I mentally process in parallel ways and I jump around a lot. And sometimes I feel like that's scattered when I'm explaining things, and then sometimes when I watch back, I'm like, no, that was fine. So anyway, bear with me. You're watching the girl mid-process. I feel called to tell you just a little bit of my, like, I don't want to pretend that I don't have these experiences. I want to humanize this even more. So the reason why I'm speaking about this is because I jumped into a little depressive episode, I would call it, and I don't have them very frequently, which isn't because I'm better than anyone else or anything else. It's because I hate feeling it, so I have ways out. Because I have ways out, I will share them if you feel called to work with any of the experiences that I share and want to feel better. That could be a really great way of exercising that, and I'll share some of those things with you guys as well. I am also kind of treating this as a masterclass. I'm going to run this stream a little long because I want to cover a good amount of material in a number of different ways, from a number of different perspectives, so that anyone watching that is like struggling with aspects of these lower vibrational emotional frequencies, which we could call depression, will A, feel accepted. Oh, Andrea, I'm just seeing your comment. I was severely depressed for over 15 years, and the shame was so unbearable. Since my awakening and healing, I've had opportunities to love and accept those experiences and release the shame. Yeah, totally. The reason why I cover the shame aspect is because, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so. You guys can let me know in the comments as well. But I get this feeling that whenever people are depressed, there's this like need to fix them. It's like, it's so important to validate the experiences we came here to have so that we can move on to what's next. Yes, I love that. I love that you're here. Thank you for being here. And for all of you that see this in the future. Yeah, it's really interesting. I feel like with people that are experiencing lower vibrational emotions, there's this like, from a lot of other people externally and in society, I feel like there's this like need to fix them, or there's something wrong with them, or like, it like makes everybody else really uncomfortable because everybody else is like, again, these are general statements, okay? But like everybody else is like riding on these false highs, if you will, almost like pretending that they're separate from a human experience. Where else do I want to go with this? A, depression is natural. B, I was talking about my experience with this. I don't frequently have depressive episodes. I used to suffer from depression probably, and I hate the word suffer. I used to experience depression when I was like, oh my gosh, a teen, probably up until I was like 22. When I started meditating, I meditated my way out of depressive episodes, and then I would go in and out of them with some PTSD. I had CPTSD, which I believe, I don't know the exact like therapeutic side of that, but I do believe that's a form of depression. And oh my gosh, what do I want to say about this? I had the courage this morning. I was like, I'm going to tackle a dense topic because I think it needs my light. That's what I have to say about it. And I was in a little baby episode here, and what I found, it's just funny. It's like, for me, when a depression comes on, it's almost like my spiritual abilities, they don't shut down, but they get quiet. Which I think is what's happening to a lot of people in these states, because there's so much emotional progress has to be made. There's like a lot of denser emotions that need to be processed. And in order to process them, there's like a shutting down of the mental and the spiritual energy bodies and opening up to the emotional body. And it's almost like, I gotta tell you guys, I'm gonna take this in two directions, but I'm being steered so heavily to dissolve any shame around the idea that depression is a problem. I'm not saying it's not, and again, I don't know any, like, I'm not covering any of the medical stuff, but my channel right now is telling me to specifically dissolve the shame around experiences of depression. That actually, what creates a lot of severe depression is the shame that you should be something that you're not. The shame that you're human. The shame that you have human emotions and human experiences, and that those human experiences can look less than perfect and can be triggering for everyone around you. Because everyone around you, I'm not saying it's for everyone, but like there's always this like tendency to like keep up, right? Like keep up with the Joneses, like just put on a fake smile, okay? Tell everyone everything's okay. You know, I have a policy for myself. When people ask me how I am, I never lie. I've been doing that for a long time. And I'm usually pretty good, but on the days where I'm not, I mention it. I had CPTSD as well, and spiritual practices saved me from that cycle of suffering. Yeah. And you know, gosh, I'm happy I'm jumping into this topic. I'm also a little nervous because I feel like a child right now. I'm stepping on new territory. I don't usually cover dense topics like this because they take such a profound amount of boundaries and level of awareness, and me speaking to so many facets, because obviously I can't, in one live stream, I'm not going to be able to cover it to such a level where everyone's going to feel understood. So that's always a challenge for me. But we're here. She's here. I think, I'll go into this a number of ways. The first thing that I'm feeling is that depression is an alchemizing of conflicted human experiences, of codependent human experiences, of power plays, power games, chess games in the mind, that there's a point where they build up and they stack up in the body. They're showing me like things like calcium deposits, like you know, you could have, I don't know, you could have like specific minerals like build up too much in the body. Like the way that I see a depression, I'm gonna read your comment, but the way that I see a depression is there's like too much buildup of a lot of like really conflicted emotional experiences, not necessarily your problem. it completely could be 1,000% because of whatever environment you're in. And this could be a result of other people's projections on you that then we need to digest and alchemize. And that alchemy is done through emotional digestion, which, depending on the level of depth and angst, depending on the level of emotional betrayal, can be a depression. Okay, I just want to read this comment. Metaphysical Mike, I got family members wanting me to prove I'm mentally and emotionally stable by working and being out of the house more. I don't have to prove anything to anyone. I'm going through my own awakening. Oh, I'm gonna cry. I'm talking to you. Yes, exactly. There's nothing wrong with you. There, you know, and it just. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna check in with Spirit because my phone just fell off. I'm just gonna make sure they don't reprimand me, but sometimes, I mean, it's like a big sign. Right, but I think it's good to cover the spiritual perspective because honestly, no psychotherapy or medication was able to heal me from the severe suicidal depression. It was very spiritual. Okay, I'll speak to mine as well. I saw therapists growing up. When I was younger, I actually got the therapist myself because I'm a domestic violence survivor. And the therapy was helpful to a point, but it did not cure my CPTSD. I did that myself through allowing myself to feel and to heal. And I didn't mean to do this, but I'll bring my ex into the picture for a second. Like, when you're in relationships with people and you have PTSD, they think you're crazy. Like, and, you know, bless up my ex, like, he thought I was crazy. And I used to literally have to train that relationship. I would say, hey, I'm in an episode. Like, I just need you to, like, either leave me alone or just hold a supportive space. But don't shame me while I'm in an episode, because that creates an emotional intoxication cycle that we can't break out of. Not that we can't, it just, there's so much resistance around it because the body creates a chemical cocktail of shame. I don't know what else to call it. I can feel this in my heart so deeply. It's like I'm just trying to think. You know, it's even funny because in my head I'm like, oh, I didn't suffer from depression. No, she did. I was just real fucking good at covering it up. I'm 26, living at home with my family. I haven't wanted to work or be part of the world on my own. Everyone put so much fear into me at an early age, telling me control is safety. I think you're in the middle of a spiritual experience. I think that's what that sounds like. I mean, whatever feels right to you in that metaphysical, Mike. The thing is, I mean, the way that you're describing it, if you were depressed, I would be depressed too. Like, I mean, it's like, there are those of us that are more awakened than others, not in any sort of hierarchical sense, but more in the way that, like, I have a very low tolerance for following the rules in a specific way that, like, society deems as being acceptable or appropriate. So if I were to be forced into those rules, forced into a specific 9 to 5, forced to have a very specific romantic relationship that, like, looks normal, which I never did, by the way. I've always been off grid on that shit. Like, if I were if I tried to fit myself into the Matrix mold, I would for sure have depression. Now, because I don't ever force myself to do that, and I allow myself to do my own thing, to go to the beat of my own drum, the challenge shifts from being depressed to being courageous. I have to constantly, I have to constantly reinforce and strengthen my own ability to be courageous all the time, because we get a choice to some degree on what challenge we want to experience. Metaphysical Mike, I get it. I get it. I'm with you. What was I saying? Oh, I forgot my train of thought. I want to read the comments too. You guys are gonna see this with me all the time. I, like, really want to be involved, and I need to, like, also stay on my train. It's about training your, the level of challenge. So it's like we get to choose, like, what challenges do we want? There are the challenges of feeling put down by the system that you're trying to stay within that doesn't feel right for your soul or feel right for your own creative expression. There's also the challenge of breaking through, of being alone, because you're always going to feel alone when you're stepping out of conformity. Because there's no I don't have an immediate gentle way of saying that. Like, it's courage. It's being a warrior. There is a feeling of aloneness with that, and I don't really see a problem with it. But it's like, which challenge would you like to select? Do you want... Oh my gosh, you guys are getting so distracted now. Okay, it's like, which challenge do you want to select? Do you want the challenge of alchemizing other people's emotional experiences around you, which is essentially, in the case of you conforming to the matrix or the idea of like what a perfect life should be, you're kind of alchemizing the deeper emotions of everyone else around you that's keeping you in that container. Then there's like the alchemy of breaking out, breaking free, and not feeling like you fit in. And that's a whole set of challenges as well. I feel like I'm getting a little off track, so I'm gonna reel myself back in. What do I want to say? Okay, I'm gonna just talk about, so spiritual depression, I think spiritually, what's channeled through some notes I wrote down on what creates it. A depression is a stagnancy of energy. It is, you can see it like a pool of water that doesn't have any movement. There's no water coming in and no fresh water leaving. So there's no movement. So the pool sits, grows moss and algae, and gets a lot of like mosquitoes or like insects and stuff that are breeding. And it gets like into a really funky, it gets into like a funky idea of like, it becomes stagnant, okay? You guys, I adore you so much, but I'm gonna ignore the comments until the end because I feel like I just wanna keep on my track, and I know you guys will understand, so I'm sending lots of love. Be patient, loving, accepting with each other in the comments. Obviously, this is a dense topic, so for any future stuff as well, be kind and loving to one another. We are all entitled to our perspectives and our experiences. And let me actually just check in with my guides as well. I think I'm good. Okay. I feel like I'm gonna cry, actually. I like feel really blessed to be able to talk about this in the way that I am. Okay, so depression, the way they show me depression is stagnancy. So energetic stagnancy. Again, it's like a pool with algae, no movement, no inspiration, right? It's just like festering. Energetically, it's an energy that is isolated, that doesn't have any movement, and that is allowing the overgrowth of parasitic energies. So they're showing that to me in the way of like a moss or an algae. It's just a lot of stuff that you might not want. It's too much of a certain type of energy, okay? It's too much of a dense energy. I'm going to go into how to alleviate that. This is, again, the spiritual conversation around depression. Spiritual depression also caused by overwhelm. When you feel like you can't, it's almost like when you feel like you can't digest the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual experiences at the pace that they're stacking up in your consciousness. That could be a lot of trauma. That could just be a lot of very confusing experiences. I'm gonna cry because they're bringing me here, but they're bringing me here. So that could be, gosh, the amount of people, including myself, but the amount of people I meet that have had sexual abuse when they were children, you know, things like that set into motion a very overwhelming emotional and mental experience, because the trauma that is taken on as a child the child does not have the developmental ability to rationalize, understand, make sense of, reconcile the conflict that is created by the trauma. That stacks up. That is a feeling of overwhelm. That overwhelm can create an impression or a pattern on someone's consciousness that is continually repeated throughout their adulthood, because there's an idea that that sense of overwhelm is familiar. It's almost like a lack of boundaries. It's a level of enmeshment. It's almost a level of spiritual martyrdom, which I don't know if I'm going to explain right now, but that's what's coming through. It's like an overgiving and over support because you don't know what it feels like to have your energy contained to yourself almost. I'm going to trust that you guys are given the clarity and understanding to follow the aspects of what I'm speaking about right now, at least energetically through the transmission that's given to you. Because again, I can't possibly cover everything in just a single live stream, but I want to start opening up this conversation. And as a reminder, I did want to tell you guys, as bubbly and as happy as I am, and I don't really have depressive episodes, certainly not often, I have not escaped them through my life. Again, like I had CTP, such a hard, who created that? I had chronic PTSD. So, I mean, that's not something you just like magically escape from. It took me a very long time to create the level of acceptance in myself spiritually, and the way that I did that for myself, the way that I worked through my own balance emotionally was through my spiritual work. It was not through therapy. All right. And that's my work. That is not for everyone. Therapy is great for many, many, many people. What I found is that past life regressions were helpful, man. Like calling my soul power, but I was like, a therapist could say whatever they want to me. I was like, but I've been abducted in multiple lifetimes by aliens, and like I need to handle that. And that's gonna sound crazy to some people. To some that will be like, oh yeah, that'll create this life PTSD. It's like all refractions. It's all like mirrored images of what you're living now, and wherever you are led to tackle your own emotional, mental, psychological health is good for you. I was led to do it primarily from the spiritual body, and I also did tackle therapy as well, but it was not my primary method. Thanks, Andrea. I'm glad. It wasn't my primary method, so I don't want to make it I'm just trying to accurately represent myself so that you guys understand where my perspective comes from, so that you can understand that I was going to say advice, but I don't know that I'm going to give you advice per se. Any perspective that I offer is from what I had just said. You guys will know this about me. I'm very careful about how I tackle dense topics, which is typically why I don't go into them, because I feel like for myself to feel comfortable and safe speaking about them, I do have to be careful about how I'm navigating it, because they're highly sensitive topics. They can be highly triggering, which is also very understanding. But I also feel like my voice is something that is helpful for those of you having these experiences, or also a lot of you working through the tail end of the experiences. Like you've already done a lot of the work. You're on like the tail end of it. That's a thing too, because it leaves like residual energy that we're all continually working through. Okay, so the overwhelming energy. If I'm being honest, this last little episode I had, which probably it wasn't that long, but long for me, was really, I was emotionally overwhelmed, and I didn't understand where the grief was coming from. It was a lot of different experiences that stacked up all of a sudden. I kind of realized how overwhelmed I was, and then I had to digest all of that emotionally kind of at one time, and that caused a depression for me. It's not bad. It's an ebb and flow of life. When I channeled from my guides while I was in it, I might still be lingering in it, actually. They told me this is the low before the high. So just digest it. Just allow yourself the experience and do whatever you can to allow it to be a little more pleasurable. So I go to the beach. I go to the beach, you guys. If I'm going to be emotionally cranky, I want to be sitting on the sand and soaking in the sun, and going for a swim. It's just like acknowledging what gives you even just slightly more pleasure without denying yourself the experience. I hope that makes sense. So, okay, going into more like symptoms of spiritual depression, or like how it works spiritually. What causes depression? I think I'm just going to keep asking that question and then answering on my list. What causes depression spiritually is a lack of a sense of self. A lack of safety in your own energetic frame or your own energetic awareness, and consistency in who you are, who you perceive yourself to be, and who you expect yourself to be. When you have a sense of self that feels dissolved, degraded, or broken down, you'll become depressed, because you're looking to understand, like, who am I? How do I fit into the context of my reality so that I can feel inspired, so that I can get a sense of clarity with who I am, and based on who I am, that creates my future trajectory. That creates my direction. That creates, I mean, what is there but your sense of self? You need sense of self and sense of source, right? Like, sense of self matched with your own personal source channel is you. So if any of those things are lacking, what happens is that all the energy that you can't see in between everything, like the net of creation, are all other people's thoughts. There are all, like, dominant energy forces. There are different paradigms. There's so much energy in the interspaces of things. And in the quantum realm, that we don't know what it is or what it's doing. If you don't have a strong sense of self and a very strong connection to source, all of those things start to push down on you. And they're showing me an auric field that a healthy auric field is going to be vibrant, is going to be strong, it is going to be protective, it is going to have a lot of energy, it is going to feel powerful. They're showing me, oh my gosh, this makes me so sad even seeing it. I'm gonna give you guys some tools before I jump off the stream too towards the end. The auric field of a depressed person is going to have bumps, bruises, shadows, holes. It's like, it'll look like a Swiss cheese cloth, like lots of holes and spaces to get into, almost like an abandoned building. Beat up, battered energy. That can happen by just existing in this world, because of the different energies that press up against us, try to demand things from us, whether it's family, whether it's culture, whether it's bigger overriding energies, whether it's dealing with the silent power dynamics between you and your neighbors or your coworkers or anyone else, because there's a lot of nonsense that goes on psychically that nobody talks about. You know, like those feelings that you get, that intuition, you're like, they said this one thing, but I felt this other thing. I'm a pro at seeing the in-betweens there. I almost ignore what people say, and I listen to what's going on. That's not true. I don't ignore it. I take it into account, but I can also hear everything unsaid. So it's like, pay attention to what's going on within all these different conversations. Disengage from it. Don't take it on. It's not yours. And bring your attention back to your sense of self and build up your own self-awareness. The way they're immediately showing me that is just to see, it feels so good. They just ran it through my energy system because they're trying to clean and clear what I just channeled through. Okay, so it's like, if you visualize a bright gold sun in your solar plexus, oh my gosh, it feels so good. And then when you breathe in, you inhale, and you see that gold sun pulse out with each breath. As you inhale, it feeds that sun. This is your personal sun, okay? It's your personal power. It does live in the solar plexus. So as you inhale each breath, see that gold, it's just bright gold light, okay? It moves out and out and out and out with each breath until it's like 6 feet in diameter. And then as you breathe in, hold it. hold that container wide and see that gold light pushing out in your auric field, your own personal power, your own personal source connection, that will dissolve any of the bumps, bruises, tears, fissures, hooks. Oh my God. Just releasing that negative energy. Oh my gosh, what are you guys showing? They're showing me the arc field. I don't usually look at the arc field like this. Like nets, but they're like broken. They're like tears in the arc field. They're telling me to take you guys through this right now, and then I'll jump back into my list. Again, this is like very masterclass style, but in the way that I will teach, which might feel a little bit more random. Hi, Official Nax. Good to see you in here. So right now, visualize that golden sun in your solar plexus. As you inhale, with each inhale, bring it out like 8 to 12 inches. Make it bigger and bigger, this golden light emanating from your body. Do it one more with me. Inhale. Push out the golden light all the way out into your auric field, like 3 to 6 feet out. And now here's what you're going to do, okay? Visualize the energy around your body and ask for your attention to be brought to any hooks, tears, bruises, depressions. Okay? You'll see them in your field, or you'll feel them regardless, and polish them out. Just see yourself polishing it out, almost like you have a dent in a car and you're popping the body of the car back out. Right? If that makes sense. Like, go into your field right now, literally polish it. You guys, this is real fucking live energy work. Like, I'm literally doing it on myself. You're going to be doing it with me. My guides are helping to train your energy system to be able to do this for yourself so you can do your own healing, which I always teach people how to do. So go through, and anywhere, like right now I'm not being shown like big damage because I don't really have a damaged auric field because I do this work pretty actively, but I am being shown like lights of attention for me. So they kept bringing my attention over here. So I'm like, okay, let me polish this area of my auric field, which is bringing my heart energy out through my hand, through my arm, to bring love and attention to that aspect of my aura, to free whatever dense energy was expressed or attached there. And just literally do this with me. They're also activating my Reiki channel that's coming through for you guys as well. You're being given a Reiki channel. Healing. Oh, they just shifted and showed me I'm doing a healing session. Okay, so I'm working on the collective arc field. Okay, so give me one moment and then I'll go back to the mental side of this explanation, but my guides are literally telling me to go through and clear up your arc fields for you. So I'm going into this is the collective, the energy of the collective of everyone watching's arc field through the Akashic records has given me access. So I'm just going to go through and do a healing. All right. They're telling me be careful of attachments to deceased loved ones in your arc field. The people you love should be free to contact you if they are honorable, free from your arc field. Okay? Let go of the attachments. They come in like birds. Your loved ones, your ancestors will come in when they're meant to. They're free. You don't need to attach to them. They don't need to perch. They'll fucking come to you, right? Let that go. Some of that is clinging to a mortality energy that's not supportive for a certain number of you. And make sure you drink water after the stream. I wasn't expecting to do a healing. I was just gonna do a more mental explanation. What's that? I want you guys to know too, I'm just as surprised probably as you are to do what I do on stream. Like, I don't know what they're gonna send through me. I learn a lot in these. Okay, we're just gonna do a little light language. I have my ancestors coming through. Om Butu Kutanayati, Om Butu Kutanayati, Om Butu Kutanayati, Om Butu Kutanayati, Om Butu Kutanayati. That's feeling pretty good. The way a collective auric field works, for those of you that are curious, I've actually never done this, so I think this is really fun for me. But what they're telling me is that it's almost like each of your auric fields are separate but together layered. So I'm working on the one, the all, which is almost like working on each of you directly. And again, my hands are the hands of source. Like, it's through your own connection to source that creates the healing. Your own ability to receive. Okay, what they're doing now is they're clearing. There's a fog in the consciousness in between being able to see the paradise and the underworld, okay? There's no shade to the underworld. I don't have any shame around the underworld, and I want you guys to know that, all right? There is an underworld. Here's what they're showing me, though, is that in this collective healing, there's a fog on the underworld that causes a confusion in your spiritual consciousness, or in those who this resonates with, who are confused because they assume that the underworld is part of paradise or can't quite see the difference because of the fog of confusion. I think that's a thing. You guys that are religious can let me know. What is that called? I've read Dante's Inferno. It's been a long time. But other than that, I think there's a Christian thing that's called too. I have Muslim friends. I've got Jewish friends. I try to keep up with all of the the spiritual stuff, but there's like a fog on the plane before the underworld that creates a confusion. Anyway, what they're showing me is they're clearing the fog out of your consciousness, okay, so that you can see the underworld for what it is. You can, when you step a foot on it, you're like, oh, that's quicksand, I'm not going in the quicksand. And you can be able to start to discern and understand the difference between the underworld and your personal paradise. Many of you are having trouble discerning the difference because of that layer of fog on your consciousness, which actually I'm being shown as a collective human installation. That we all come with that. That's a collective program. But their source is removing that fog from your consciousness so that you can see clearly. Because when you can see clearly, you make the right decisions for yourself. When you see clearly, you have a good sense of self. When you see clearly, it's easy to trust because it's easy to see a monster or a flower, right? In your consciousness. You won't confuse a flower for a monster or a monster for a flower. I don't know why they're giving me that example, but they are. Lost soul. I forget what that's called. Oh my gosh, somebody tell me in the comments. Is it like Land of Lost Souls or something? That fog, that confusion? I've heard of it. I'm gonna have to look it up now. Anyway, maybe I'll go back and read Dante's Inferno. Okay. I'm having having a moment right now. I'm so light, and I literally am publicly talking about this. I'm so pleased with how this is working out. Okay. That was your healing session. Enjoy. You're welcome to sit with it and meditate with it as well. They're showing me it's another layer of, if you didn't see the live stream I shot like a week ago, I helped create an activation for a clear mental body and a clear emotional body with strong energetic protection. I will link that in the description below when I get off the stream. That's something you can do to further amplify and work with what I just did as a healing. That one is about strengthening your energetic fields, your guards, if you will, your shields. There are shields around your energy fields, or there should be. Whereas what I just did was not even a psychic clearing. They just show it's a spiritual clearing. So I just worked with the, oh, thanks you guys. But I just channeled the golden ray. Is that the third ray? I need to reacclimate myself with the rays of creation. I just worked with the third ray and channeled the third ray into clearing the collective auric field for everyone that's watching and participating. No one wants to receive that. So it's just like a nice, powerful confidence boost, confidence clearing. You should feel light. Drink lots of water, because that is a frequency elevation. It is helping you to raise your frequency, raise your energetic signature, if you will. Wow, I feel really clear. All right, we're still going. Okay, so spiritual depression. What else causes a spiritual depression? Something else I jotted down was empathy. Not in a bad way, but I literally want to talk about this. An enmeshment with other people's energy and emotions. If you're watching this, the likelihood of you being empathetic is so high. So here's the deal. When we are highly sensitive people, that's another term you can look up. When we're empathetic, when we're indigos, when we're rainbow children, what are some of the others? I don't know, star seeds, like throw in the category of having a high level of emotional and intuitive sensitivity. When we are like that, we can feel. We are dialed into feeling, and we can feel everything. We might not know what is ours versus what is someone else's. That is especially the case for children. So when you're highly empathetic, you might be there might be a level of depression because you are picking up on conflict or energies or a subtle awareness of what someone else is feeling but not describing, and you might be picking it up as your own, because when they are not attuned to their own sensitivity of what they're thinking or feeling, any of the people around you or those in your past, when they don't pick it up, but we're sensitive, we pick it up like a vacuum. We then make it ours, which also prevents them from being able to process it. When you're highly empathetic, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to give you the tools right now, aside from the healing that I just did, it's kind of just an awareness of saying, is that mine? Like, I feel like when I pick up emotions, I look at them and I go, are you mine? You know, and a lot of times they are, and a lot of times they're not. And I'm like, no, that's not mine. I'll give that back to you. And I kind of just, not like reject it, but I don't reject it. I just put it down. Like, it either has my name on it or it doesn't. It's either mine or it's not. When you're empathetic, those of us that are highly empathetic tend to take on everything in the environment because we're more sensitive than other people. We have a heightened sensitive, a highly tuned sensitive awareness, which most humans see as like a problem. They're like, why do you feel so much? Well, because I'm sensitive. There's nothing wrong with being sensitive. It is literally a human evolutionary trait for adaptability. The more sensitive you are, the more you can adapt. So that sensitivity is a tremendous strength, but it also means you might be taking on a lot of conflict that's not yours. That can create a depression. Spiritual depression is also caused by lack of direction, right? Which is, let me check my other notes. I've kind of got notes all over the place with this because they were streaming through last night. I got like a huge download on depression. A lack of direction can be, there's too many opinions. There's not enough clarity on your sense of self. It could be self-doubt influenced by others, like other people projecting that you should doubt yourself because they're looking to amplify their own personal authority. No shade their way. They might be good people as well around you, or people that you love. But a lot of people will increase their own personal authority by decreasing the authority of the people around them. That can create a lack of direction. Unresolved trauma can create a lack of direction. And essentially, oh my gosh, my feet are just getting tired. A lack of direction is a lack, or you need to strengthen your source connection, because when you have a strong sense of self and a strong source connection, you're naturally self-directed. Your soul steps in and directs you. And it's pretty obvious. It's like, it'll come through as a good feeling, a good thought, something that makes you feel vibrant, something that gives you more energy rather than takes away energy. It doesn't always come with logic. It frequently doesn't come with logic, but it does come with emotion. So you'll just be like hypercharged, supercharged, like all of a sudden I get all this energy when I think about doing this thing. That's a good thing to entertain. So anyway, strengthening your source connection will give you a source of natural direction. Now, strengthening your source connection is not something that's done once a week, like many religions would say, although once a week is better than never. It's like showering, okay? I mean, I shower like every day, every other day. How often do you shower, right? You're trying to keep yourself clean. So my question for you is, how often do you strengthen your source connection to make sure that you are naturally directed, that you have clarity in your own personal direction at all times? Me? I do that daily. Maybe every other day, every 3 days, but I wouldn't let it go any longer than that. So that's something you want to think about. If you want a good, solid healing meditation to strengthen your own personal source connection, go to iamemmelina.com/meditation. I have a free guided meditation where I literally teach you how to strengthen your source connection through meditation, that after you watch the video and you understand the programming behind it, you get the transmission, like you could do it in 60 seconds every morning when you wake up, and you'll have that strength. Something else you can do there, I have another video on my channel, I'll tag the link below when I get off the stream, is to do a soul retrieval. That's another way of strengthening your source connection and bringing your power back to yourself, calling your power back to yourself. That'll help you strengthen your sense of self, because through the day, through our thoughts, through our emotions, through whatever's going on, soul contracts, we're sending energy out to specific places, and then sometimes we're depleted because we don't realize how much energy we've sent outwardly, right? So then when you call it back, you call back your energy, you then get a supply of power and energy. And I'll give you guys the simple way of doing that. You just sit in meditation and reflection and say, I now call back any power and energy that I'm now ready to embody. I now call back any power energy that I'm now ready to embody. I now call back any power energy that I'm now ready to embody. Say it on the inhales as you inhale. Say it 3 times. I do this whenever I'm starting to lack energy or feel pretty significant fatigue, and it pulls my energy back to me, and I'm given like a second wind. It's really beautiful. Okay. Spiritual depression. What else causes spiritual depression? A distrust of what feels good. These are what I would call confused morals. This is like an inner conflict of virtue. It's when you have, you want to trust what feels good. Your joy is your soul speaking to you. A depression can happen when the joy comes in. I've felt this too in the past, actually. When the joy comes in as a thought, as an inspiration, as a direction, and that's source, that's your channel, that's your higher self, your higher power, God, speaking to you, giving you direction. And when you receive the inspiration and the insight of what would be more joyful, what would give you some level of excitement or happiness or something that would even just feel good, you deny it, and then you choose to not follow that insight or action or inspiration, that causes a depression, because Energy can't be created or destroyed. It's just moved in directions. So if you get an insight for joy and you deny the joy, that energy is still given to you. It just, because you deny the joy, it moves to pain. And that pain is going to be something like a depressive episode. No shame there either. I'm just literally explaining some of the processes so that somewhere through your experience, whatever you find helpful would be helpful for you. But when we deny higher frequencies of energy, the energy still is yours. It still was given to you and it still needs to be expressed. It will just take the method of expression that you allow. For some people, that expression is depression. That expression could be anger. That expression could be victimization. That expression could be sadness. That expression could be loneliness. Any level of the lower vibrational emotional frequencies. And again, none of it's bad. It's just like, where do you want to live? What feels better for you? And can you gently lift your vibrational awareness without forcing it or making anything wrong about you? And the last thing I wrote down in here, what causes spiritual depression, is questioning what's real. There's nothing wrong with questioning what's real, okay? I do it all the freaking time. But I'm going to try to flesh this out the best that I can. Questioning what's real, the matrix or the soul. The matrix are like the collective thoughts, ideas, and patterns of everything that runs our 3D world. Your typical ideas. Go to a 9-to-5 job. Work until you're dead. Ask me how I really feel. I don't know, like, put in this amount of time, take these vacations. When you go on these vacations, you could live for a minute. I don't know, like, whatever. Substitute whatever programs you want. I have not been living on this matrix for a while, which I acknowledge is a privilege of mine that I have demanded through my life. I'm like, I had a hard enough time. Like, I will live off of the matrix, I will live in my own separate paradigm reality that is governed by source. Thank you very much. That's the, like, 5D reality. Okay, so, but when you're questioning what's real and you don't know what's real for you, and this frequently comes down to questioning 3D versus 5D realities. So do I trust the things that I see in my physical world as being what's real? Do I trust my emotions? Because the physical world says one thing, these relationships should be fine. Emotionally, you might feel like a shit show about those relationships because there might be a lot of energetic contracts that are running behind the scenes, which are just silent conversations between parties, psychic conversations between parties, that if you're not in heightened awareness around them, there can be this constant questioning of what's real. I feel this way, but people are telling me that that's reality. And then my soul feels another way, and I'm not sure what's real. That can cause a level of depression because which also isn't bad. Like, that is an aspect of breaking open when you're shifting your awareness and becoming more spiritually evolved. That is a stage also. Cut yourself some slack. Where my attention is being brought to in that process, what has helped me is putting I put 20% of my attention in the physical, and then I stack most of my attention into the 5D, into the metaphysical, into the direction of my soul, into saying yes to things that don't make sense to me, but that light me up on fire. And allowing that to lead the way, even though I don't know physically how it's going to look. I was going to say how it's going to pan out, but I do know how it's going to pan out. I know that it's going to be amazing. I just don't know exactly what that adventure is going to look like, what pitfalls might come along the way. Maybe I get bit by some sort of poisonous snake. You know, shit happens. Shit happens on an adventure. To getting into the higher aspects of yourself, to living in your paradise reality. Like, it's not like a walk in the park, you know? And I don't think it's ever going to look like a walk in the park. I think it's about learning on the journey, like, what your preferences are, allowing yourself to experience whatever it is you're going to experience. And in a conversation like this, it's depression. Learning from it, learning what you like, learning what you don't like, learning how to deal with it, learning how to accept it, learning how to not have shame around it, and learning how to shift out of it. Learning when it has its proper place and when it's too much for you. and when to let go of the baggage and just allow the immediate shift out spiritually, where you are just launched into joy, into love, into self-acceptance, knowing that that depression is always going to be some level of a part of the process somewhere, that it is a level of emotional alchemy that should not be denied. You can't deny it. How do I even explain? It's like denying your shadow. You can't deny it. It's like to ignore your shadow's existence is to give it all of the power. It's like, acknowledge your shadow. It's all right. It's all right. I hope I'm on track here. I'm just going to check in with my guides again, and then I'm going to go through my next note card. You guys are still with me. I adore you. Thank you. For all of you that watch this in the future, welcome to this full conversation, which I was just so guided to touch on. Okay, they're telling me, they just said touch on the ability to bounce back from a depression. Okay. I think I'm just giving you guys some ways out based on how I get out. Okay, the first thing I'm going to cover, depression relief, spiritual depression relief, and I already covered this with you guys and did a healing, so you're covered. But I'm just going to mention it now because I feel like it needs to be mentioned. Is going to be the energetic relief, okay? So depressive relief could be removing cords. This is like cord cutting. Search any level of cord cutting ritual on YouTube. They'll probably work, all right? Cord removal. Resolving psychic attack. That is the mental attack from other people's energy systems, other people's negativity upon you. That can be resolved with the mental clarity meditation link I'll drop in the description below later that you can find on my live streams. Drea, I have conflicting beliefs about what makes me feel good, and I've been asking my guides to give clarity around that. You can just follow the trail. I'm trying to think of for myself around trusting what feels good or what feels right. It took me time to develop that for myself. It is a skill. It is a talent that you develop. So that could be as simple as, I know there are psychological terms for this too, but anyway, it could be simple as like, what feels good right now, making coffee or making hot chocolate? Make this decision simple for yourself so that you can start to fine tune your awareness around preference, subtle preference in your emotional body. It's taken me a little while, probably a couple of years working with emotional preference. And I'm being serious, something like coffee, hot chocolate, like sit back and forth, like a simple decision like that. Should I go for a walk or should I meditate? Not should. Do I want to go for a walk or do I want to meditate? When I leave my house, do I want to make a left or do I want to make a right? It's training your intuition, but really tap into where the sensation of good feeling is. And as you train that into your system through time, you will naturally start to make choices that feel a little bit better than other choices. Example, I love wearing makeup and getting cute, but religious programs tell me it's wrong. Oh, that's what I'm telling you about. Yeah, that would cause like a degree of depression or conflict. So, I mean, it's something like that. The religious program tells you it's wrong, but you feel good about wearing makeup and getting cute. So then, from my perspective, seeing this, the conversation is allow yourself to wear makeup and get cute, and then feel into the sensation that that's the right thing to do, is to take care of you and to do the thing that feels good for you. And that you're not going to deny yourself your beauty. You're not going to deny yourself your desire to shine in the way that you want to, because there's natural beauty and then there's highlighted beauty, right, with like makeup. Like I can know what I want to do and what feels good, but if I think I feel bad about doing it, what feels good? What feels good is you knowing, I hear what you're saying, you're talking about guilt, I think. If you love doing it, do it, and So in this case, Drea, you're saying wear makeup. Wear makeup, get cute. Is that being a little more forwardly sexual? Is that where you're going with that? Because I can see that being a religious program issue. So allow yourself to get cute. Allow yourself to wear the makeup. Allow yourself to be, this feels like a flirty energy to me. And sit in that energy, allowing the other programming to come in, because at this point it's a part of you because you're thinking of all of it. It's part of the inner conflict. And sit with it. Just like be with it. And however you can do for yourself, like alchemize those negative projections on you about what you should do, about what good girls do, about what spiritual women do or don't do, and say, can I be cute? Can I be okay with expressing myself in the way that I want to and still hold space for all this shit that I'm working through, for all these negative beliefs, negative patterns, negative thoughts that I'm still working through? Not forwardly sexual at all, but just caring about your appearance. Yeah, so I mean, same thing. It's just like it's a more dialed down version than the sexual version. It's like what's not spiritual about caring for your appearance? My soul loves fashion and making things beautiful. I mean, what's not to love about that? But again, so it's about sitting into that space and allowing yourself to have the expression of doing the thing that feels good, doing the thing that you want to do, and holding in the other hand, I also have these negative thoughts, these negative feelings. Can I allow them both to exist in the same space? This is what they're showing me. Is like, you getting cute, you putting on makeup, you doing whatever you're going to do, doll yourself up, and then sit, maybe in nature, or it could be in your house, but like sit and then invite in all those negative beliefs and hold them in your energy. They're showing me this is just an energetic alchemy. Hold them both in your energy at the same time. Hold the, I'm cute, I'm vibrant, I love how I look. And then hold the, you shouldn't be obsessed with how you look, how dare you, like don't attract attention to yourself, like you're not entitled to look cute, whatever the thing is. Hold both of them, and if you can hold that even for just a minute, like 60 seconds, holding both of those energies, what's going to happen is they're both going to vibrate in your energy field, and it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to feel uncomfortable, okay? I can feel it. It's going to feel really uncomfortable, but you're not going to have to do this for more than like 2 minutes. Hold them. Just hold them and breathe, and hold them and breathe, and just visualize both paradigms, both the paradoxes being held in your hands. I look cute. This is wrong. Hold them both in your hands, hold them both in your energy, and breathe until you feel that, that chatter, that conflict, steady out. There will be a point, I promise, and I'm taking you through the non-mental approach, and I feel like this is being done on purpose, is how they're channeling it through. It's like if you can work out that energy just by allowing them both to exist, what will happen is your soul will come in and rebalance and override the energy back to your soul energy. It's you owning both energies. You're not disowning any level of yourself, which is to create a merge. And the higher vibrational frequency is always dominant. The lower vibrational frequencies always submit to higher vibrational frequencies. Period. End of story. You don't have to think about it. So if you're wondering, how do I get rid of these more negative emotions, how do I get rid of these like lower vibrational emotions? Well, if you hold them alongside your higher vibrational soul self, your true authentic expression, the true authentic expression will dominate. It will naturally dissolve the lower experiences, the lower expressions, because higher vibrational energy is dominant. It carries more weight. Not in a dense way, but in a dominant way, if that makes sense. In a commanding way. Okay. By the way, I loved your question, Drea. I'm happy you asked that. Okay. What do I want to cover? I want to go through methods of how to alleviate a depression emotionally, spiritually. Okay, so I'll give you some things here. The first thing I'm going to say is if we know that depression is caused by stagnancy, stagnant energy, energy without movement, what we need to do is move the energy, vibrate the energy, do anything to change your state of awareness to a new state of awareness. Do anything to change your emotional energy. Literally anything that will change the vibration. If you can get the stagnant energy to start moving, it will start a process of creating momentum in the direction of movement, which will take you out of a depression. It could be out of a subtle aspect of depression, depending on where you're landing on the depressive scale. But movement creates use of creative energy. Depression is stagnant creative energy. It's energy that's not being used. That is my like flatline answer for this, to try to make it basic so that I can kind of go into how I handle more depressive episodes, is I'll do anything I can to move the energy around. For those of you that enjoy this, and I used to do this all the time, I mean, I still do it now, but I used to do it all the time when I would feel off, is I'll get a sage bundle, I will light it on fire, and I will walk around wherever I'm living, go into the corners, every corner of my home, and I will chant or say as I'm doing it, I release any stagnant energy and bring it into positive movement. I free any stagnant energy and ask that it comes back to me flowing in a source of abundance and a source of inspiration. That it comes to me as inspiration, as creative energy, that I am ready to harness and use. And I will use the sage or Palo Santo or copal to stimulate energy in my physical environment through an active ritual, which is a cleansing ritual with smoke, to free any stagnant energy and move it back into creative impulse. That's one way that could be handled. Another way is doing physical exercise, regular daily physical exercise or movement, dance, somatic movement. You can search some of that on YouTube, yoga, going for a walk, move the energy, okay? What's coming forward, who wrote that book? I'll try to tag it if I can remember. There was a book I read at some point. It might be The Body Keeps the Score. I can't remember. Gazi Zazipora, I think. Gazipora? I'm trying to remember his name. Don't judge me. Anyway, if I can remember, I will link it below. But he talks about going these like little anger rants. So like, you kind of, you go on a walk, and on that walk, you can put in headphones and pretend like you're talking to someone. Stay in your own lane, right? Like try to not talk to anyone when you're doing this, and just like go on a little anger rant. Anything that you feel like you need to say. And if you want, you can record it in your phone, and then you can listen to yourself back after you record it, to hold the space for yourself as a coach for yourself, to give yourself the container of release where you are holding it in a safe way, because probably you don't want to say these things to people or what have you. But the anger needs to be released. The shadow side of yourself needs to be able to get what it needs out. That can be done through journaling. That could be done through voice memoing yourself. I've done that a lot. It could be done through going on these little rant walks. The point is to release it. It is to ground it into the ground. It is to allow yourself the constructive expression without hurting anyone around you. That is moving some emotional energy. What else do I want to say? Creating, wait, I think I've got this over here. If you want to shift, so if you want to shift the energy, it's about moving stagnant energy into kinetic energy. You can do that through movement. You can do that through mantra. You can do that through journaling. You can do that through creativity, which also, not just creativity, but also making art. So making art, whatever form comes to you, whether that is literal artwork, drawing, painting, any level of music. Give me some more, you guys. Pottery, gardening, poetry, spoken word. I don't know, like anything that feels like art for you. It's what art does. Art is a natural alchemical process of taking the lower, more dense lower vibrational emotions, mainly grief, and anger and everything else, again, no shade to these emotions, but it's about taking them, harnessing them, and then alchemizing them into something that you find beautiful. It's making beauty out of something that was difficult. So creating a practice around art, even weekly, some level of art therapy for yourself, would certainly help as well. I also would focus on doing things that feel good. I literally would create a list of 10 things, what like feels good for me. These are going to be things that you can do borderline on demand at any point to just help alleviate your mood. So for me, that could be reading a book. It could be going to a coffee shop. It could be effing around the guitar. It can be, it can be painting. I've got my paintings, right? It can be calling a friend. It could be going on a swing set or going to a playground. It could be going for a hike. These are the things for me, right? Going swimming, going for a run. I'm literally looking at an orange tree, eating an orange. I do that all the time. That improves my mood a lot. So create a list of 10 things that feel good, and when you start to feel off or feel like you just want a little break from feeling like shit in whatever way that comes up, pick one of those things on the list and just like give yourself a little bit of pleasure. All right? We covered art. Okay, what else is on my list over here? Some other things you can think about. Mantra music. All right, you guys. I do have a list on Spotify of the mantra music that I listen to. So I will do my best to go find that and to link it below for you guys. If you listen to mantra music that is carrying the higher vibrational frequencies on what's called the nod, that is the yogic term. I don't know if it's Sanskrit, it might be. For the current, how do I describe this? The nod, it's N-A-A-D, is the spiritual current of creation that is carried on it's like the what do they call it? The anahata, the unstruck sound of the heart. It's the universal sound current that, when tapped into, some people in music, not all music does this, it's people that are tapping into the nod frequency, can carry that healing and that spiritual awareness through the music and deliver it to you. Mantra music carries that. So when you listen to mantra music, I literally almost cry when I'm in any level of like a depletion and I listen to mantra music, and then I'm like, oh, I just feel so much better. Like it literally lifts the energy in your fields. So I will leave some links to some mantra music. Wahi Guruji is great. Pavan Guru. Oh my gosh. I feel like Adi Shakti. What else do we got? I'll try to link some. This is all like the Kundalini yoga music stuff. I don't know what else to call it. Mantra music, but it's primarily like Kundalini yogis. Because it was so popularized in Kundalini yoga. So there's that. Thinking about any level of like brain or mood enhancing supplements that are good for you. I don't know that I'm going to give you guys suggestions, but do a little research and find something that works for you. Maybe some herbal blends, etc., teas, what have you. Oh, I think that's all I got there. Okay, so I covered that list. Oh, I covered all of my lists. Oh my god, amazing. I wasn't sure exactly how I was going to tackle all of this. The last thing I'm going to give you guys are some prayers, okay? So I pray to see my value. These are like really great prayers to say in any level of a depressive episode. I pray to see my true inherent value. I pray to see, know, and understand my own self-worth. I pray to see, know, and understand my own self-worth. I pray to see clearly. I pray to see the next right step and the next right action. I pray to be made in a safe and happy way. And ultimately, this comes down to creating balance in your emotional and energetic system, safety, clarity, and direction with the next steps. All right, you guys. That was my long-winded scoop on depression, spiritual depression, how to work with it, how to accept it, how to clear it, and how to move the energy into something more creative that feels more vibrant and better for you, so you can have a beautiful, harmonious experience in the way that feels the best for you. Also, I feel like I'm making art with my video right now. Should I go take some selfies? I kind of dig this. That's how I feel right now. Okay, so maybe I shouldn't have done that. I love this goofy energy is coming through because I literally am lightening up the energy. And I feel a lot more vibrant myself. I feel like I'm out of my episode. I just decided it, so we're good. Also, here's some selenite. She wanted to come forward to help cleanse anything that's going on with you guys. My crystals will speak to me and channel through me. I'll send you some selenite vibes. Cleanse your auric field. I hope you guys love like my zany nature. If you don't, I don't know why you've listened to this long, but if you do, go drop me a comment below. Say hello. I'd love to meet you via the comment section. Is there anything else that I want to say? If you are working with these energies, know that you're loved and accepted as you are. There's likely nothing wrong with you. Of course, we can always improve our human experience. We can improve our ability to process mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. We can improve our communication with ourselves and others. We can improve our understanding of ourselves and others and being understood by ourselves and others. Advocate for our needs being met and everything else. It's not a one-stop shop, this journey. It's never going to be fixed permanently once and for forever. You know, I do think I'd be a good like little poster child though for curing CPTSD. As far as like, man, you guys, you have no idea. I would be set into PTSD episodes. It's been a long time. I forgot about them. But I've had them and I know what they feel like. I know what they look like. And I've worked my way out of it through self-acceptance, through love, through unconditionally loving myself, not making myself a problem. I allowed myself to have the experiences, the time, and the space that I needed to work through what I needed to work through for myself. And I did have support too. I did have coaches kind of walking me through some aspects of this in my own like spiritual awareness abilities as well. All of this to say, I just want to say that I'm patient, loving, accepting of wherever you are in your process. And I hope that I've been able to share some of my experience in any way that would further support your growth, your love and acceptance for yourself, and you feeling like you could be safe in this human experience. I'm going to check in with my guides real quick before I bounce and just see if there's any last messages they want to send through. They're telling me to tell you that those of you that feel this on this stream, your consciousness is being cradled by source consciousness, by the law of one, by you listening to this stream. You're being like energetically swaddled, comforted energetically in a way where source is going to start giving you direction for yourself to find your own true path, to step out in a way with your own true authentic expression that feels the best for you. I can only speak from my experience and what my channel says, but ultimately your path may be and will likely be very different from mine. So I pray that you are led, that you are guided from your true authentic source connection in a way that is going to be the most loving and supportive for you. Thank you, George. I just saw your comment. I pray that you're given specific direction in a way that feels safe and comforting for you. I pray that you feel completely accepting of yourself and accepted by yourself and others, not denying your human experience, but understanding that the superpower is in being human. And allowing yourself the breadth of the dynamic range of what it is to be human, which is, if you've lived through it, if you've been in some level of cosmic hell or human hell, that you must experience the opposite. So start advocating for your right for paradise. That's how they're explaining it to me right now. That will be sent to you they're showing me light packets being sent to each of you. That'll kind of unpack through the next year, actually, they're telling me, in ways where you can start to understand like what that paradise might be for you, so that you can start to unpack it and expect it in your reality. May you feel blessed in your birthright. May you feel your birthright to success, love, happiness, wealth, support, community, personal self-expression, personal authenticity, harmony, balance, peace of mind, unconditional love, mainly for the self, and then of course for others as well. May you be blessed in personal success. May you see everything you experience as an asset, and may you begin to take on the perspective and the facets of your character that allow you to see the gold and the prosperity of every experience from your life, and creating you into the most perfect creative expression of your soul that you could ever ask for. In the grand scheme of things, everything is perfect. I know at the granular level, that won't always make sense. And I promise I have the experience enough in my physical and emotional worlds to be able to occupy that statement. I have lived through it, which is why I feel like I can say this to you guys with integrity, without spiritually bypassing it, being like, just feel good. Like, yes, feel good, but also honor everything you've been through. Everything you've been through gives you the right to your paradise. There has to be balance, and we get to advocate for our own balance. So if you've been through hell and back, it's time for some paradise. You're entitled to it. What else do you guys want me to say about that? I feel like I heard something else come through. Respect yourself. Love yourself. Be okay with wherever you are. You are perfect wherever you are. Wherever you are, truly. And if that isn't some level of depressive episode, love yourself through it. Because you're working through something. And it is invisible. And it is up to you to trust your process. Trust that it's all going to work out for the better. Trust that it's all going to make sense in hindsight. Trust that it will weave itself together. Trust that you'll get yourself out. Trust that it's temporary. Trust that you'll be given new clarity. Trust that you'll be given new resources. Trust that the inspiration will come back. Trust that the mental clarity will come back. Trust that you'll have vibrancy for life, that you'll feel that vibrancy again, and that you'll be able to cut through, create movement, and feel inspired and motivated and in love. So that's what I've got for you guys. Thank you so much for joining me for this this long stream on a dense topic. I really appreciate it. I hope I've been able to help any and all of you, and in at least one way, if not a number of ways. And yeah, sending you guys lots of grace and healing. I'm just going to take a quick skim through the comments if I could see them. Where did they go? I think I read through most of them as I was going, but I'm just going to call out Andrea, Metaphysical Mike. Thank you guys for being here. George, I saw your comment as well. Official Next, hello. Thank you guys. Thank you for expressing your voice. Thank you for being in the chat. Thank you for all of you that comment after this stream. Thank you for all of you that watch and that don't comment. I still send you so much love and appreciate your presence, appreciate your attention, and I do want you guys to know that we're all co-creating together. My streams are channels, and the channel knows what information to send through for me to be the voice to speak on based on what the collective of you guys is going through. So whenever you're contributing into the energy, watching, being here in whatever way you are, whether it's liking the video, whether it's just subscribing, whether it's just watching and being present, whether it's learning, you're contributing to that energy so that the answers can come through me to you, those of you, in the ways that it needs to. So much love. I think that's all I got for today. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you guys soon. Alrighty, peace.